conversations from the world of women's sports. This is Wisp Sports Radio.
Welcome to the Siri and BEK show on Wisp Sports Radio. This is episode 11.
Wisp Sports Radio is brought to you by Highlands Earache Drops.
Earaches are one of the primary causes for doctor visits, with over 30 million visits per year. After you've been diagnosed with an earache by a physician, try Highlands Homeopathic Earache Drops and Tablets. Highlands has been trusted for generations to provide safe, effective homeopathic medicines for all members of the family. Highlands Homeopathic Ear Drops and Tablets provide natural relief to help you get back to doing what you love. Visit highlands.com/ear-pain to find a retailer near you. That's highlands.com/ear-pain. Claims are based on traditional homeopathic practice, not accepted medical evidence. Not FDA evaluated. Read and follow label directions.
Lindley.
And I'm Keat, and at Wisp Sports we believe that women in sport deserve equal coverage.
The Siri and BEK show is where we share our life experiences because sport is a vehicle through which we have found our true selves, and we hope to inspire you to do the same.
So today on episode 11, we are going to be talking about, we've done the swim, we've done the bike, and we're talking about the run off the bike. So you've wrapped your bike in transition. It's race season, so it's a perfect time to discuss this. And we're on to the run. So I don't know if we went through transition last time, but maybe we can just recall that a little bit.
Yeah, let's go through transition because you get off the bike. As we talked about on the bike section, BEK and I have expressed our philosophy that we like our athletes to ride at a lower cadence, using more strength at a lower heart rate than spinning at a higher cadence at a higher heart rate. But one of the things, because for us with running, we find that the ideal run cadence is 100, or what some people would call 200 per minute. I would count 100 right foot strikes per minute, and that is usually the most efficient cadence where you can run fast with less effort. So the only time where I would encourage you all as athletes to spin a little bit higher is in the last, say, minute or two on the bike to go into an easier gear, start spinning the legs at about 100, so when you get off the bike, you are ready to step right into that 100 cadence, and your legs will feel as good as possible. But as we go into transition, BEK, take us through, you're just getting off the bike, and you're trying to find your spot.
Yeah, I had a little tip, and actually my mum told me to do this. I used to tie, I think we talked about it already, but I tied a green bow around my rack so I could see it, and I always walked through the transition to know where my bike came in, obviously where we went out on the swim, but where we bring our bike in, because it's usually the opposite end, and you need to know usually the direction you run, because sometimes you've got to run all the way around the back of transition, and you don't want to stuff that up. And remember, don't undo your helmet until your bike is racked or you'll be disqualified.
That's a great point, and something that we would often forget. So you rack your bike, your shoes are off. What I used to do that used to save me a ton of time, and this is especially for shorter races or when you're trying to be super competitive, I'd put my run shoes on, and I would grab my hat, my glasses, my race belt, everything I needed, and start running out of transition, putting on my hat as I'm running, putting on my glasses as I'm running, putting on my race belt as I'm running, so you're always moving forward. And it's kind of back like when we talked about getting on the bike. If your shoes are already on the bike, the way you want to get on is you put one foot in, then pedal, keep moving. Then the next foot in, keep pedaling, moving, and do it in steps so that you're constantly making forward motion.
But that doesn't mean put one shoe on for the run and then run without a shoe.
No, of course not. That's a good point. But it means to put your shoes on, grab everything that you need and start putting on everything else as you're moving forward.
Yeah, and I do see some of my age groupers, but I've told them not to do this. Claire Carney did this at the Duathlon World Championships. That was the year I won the Junior Duathlon World Champs. I saw her sitting down, putting her shoes and socks on, taking her time. I wouldn't recommend that. But I do recommend probably wearing socks a minimum for half an Ironman. Definitely for Ironman, you want to wear socks. Ellie Soldhouse has a really good tip. I think she stole it off Jan Frodeno. She wears the long socks. And I said to her, I love them. And she said, actually, the secret is, and I'm giving it away, Salty, sorry, but they do make your calves look bigger, which I do not need. But I know the boys like that. But they actually absorb sweat from basically mid-calf all the way down. So really, you're not getting as much sweat into your shoes. So you're absorbing the sweat down your leg, and if you pour water over your head, you're absorbing this that from the sock, the tire up, rather than it going into your shoes. And I thought that was a killer tip from Ellie.
Yeah, less blisters, right? And that's awesome. Now, Beck, I've got a question for you because we experienced this at Ironman Melbourne a few years ago.
Oh.
What do? You're in the race, your feet have kind of expanded on the bike, it's a hot day, and your shoe is so super tight it hurts desperately. Do you stop and fix it, or do you keep running with the shoe being way too tight? What's the smartest thing?
That was an epic fail, and that is why I don't recommend elastic laces that are pre-done up and you can't undo them, which would happen to me in an Ironman. It's just ridiculous. You're going to save 10 seconds, but usually your feet expand so much. I had my laces quite tight for the half. It wasn't so much a problem, but I had them so tight and I had not practice in them. They were new shoes, stupid mistake. And I literally had done it so tight with a knot, I could not undo my elastic laces. And I ended up just taking my shoes off a few times. I remember Rinny passed me in the run. She was like, what are you doing? I'm like, keep going. My laces are too tight. That was an epic fail, rookie error. And I probably would recommend, if you haven't got the laces where you can adjust the tension, like I know you can usually with most elastic laces, but I just used to wear regular laces and double knot them because I was so worried about that happening.
Yeah, and another point, guys, is that if there's something, say you have a rock in your shoe or your laces are too tight, instead of thinking, oh, I'll just bear with the pain, that's going to affect your time way more than stopping for 30 seconds to undo your laces or loosen them up or take your shoe off, pull the rock out. Always make it more comfortable so you can run to your potential, because it's never, ever going to pay off to leave it in there.
I've got two good stories about that. So Luke McKenzie's sister qualified, Jackie McKenzie, I was good friends with her at the time, qualified the Kona and raced as an age group, did quite well. And she lost the stub of her handlebars, the little thing that goes into the handlebars to hold the handlebar tape on. It's like a little cork stop thing. It went into her shoe, and she told me she wore a size too big and something was hurting the whole run. It was pushing on her toe. She managed to get it in her toe box of her run shoe, and she ran the whole marathon with it in there in pain. I'm like, why would you do that? She still had a good day, but I also remember Troy Romero with the on-running shoes. The only bad thing about those is that I hate walking on our gravel driveway because every time a stone gets caught, like in between, that's the only bad thing about those shoes. And so Troy was telling me how he got a stone caught. It's all right, you can just quickly stop and remove it, but very rarely there's gravel in races. But Troy said he had a stone stuck in his shoe the whole way, and I would definitely recommend stopping and pulling it out.
Yeah, stop and pull it out real quick. It'll take you 5 seconds to pull it out and keep going and run to your potential. Do not, just resign yourself to say, no, I've got a rock in my shoe, I'll just leave it there. That's never going to pay off.
I think he still ran. That was what's the one where he ran 3 hours still?
Oh, Santa Rosa.
He still won the age group and ran 3 hours flat, I think, with that stone on his shoe.
So we love those shoes. Those on-running shoes are the best.
The key is to stop and pull it out.
Yes, exactly. But so the point there, guys, if there's something that is causing you pain, stop, fix it. You will save so much more time. I know that as triathletes, we think we got to keep moving forward. But when it's something like that, that's a time to stop real quick, fix it. It's like going to the bathroom. If you see a porta potty and you're dying to go to the bathroom, instead of saying, oh, I can't stop, I'll hold it. Don't do that. Go.
You can poop your pants. Like, I know people, Christy Wellington will admit it. She just pooped her pants in Kona and kept going. I know other people have done it too, by accident. I couldn't really do that. I had to stop, but.
Yeah, so, don't just know that it's like walking through an aid station. If that's going to help you run better, by walking through the aid station, making sure you get in your fuel, you get in your fluids, you'll end up running faster. So
let's give some blister tips, Siri, because we found that magic. Now, these guys aren't sponsors, but this stuff is amazing. What's that stuff? It's Run Goo, right?
It's called Run Goo. G-U. Wait, G.
I always get it wrong. G-O-O?
No, I think it's G-U-U.
Is it?
And guys, this stuff is amazing. What I don't understand is you put it on before the swim. It's like this gel. How in the world does it stay on in the swim?
It's really oil-based. So I always wear that, and then sometimes I might reapply it for an Ironman, then put my sock on and then my shoe, and for somehow it stops the friction and no blisters. Like I remember poor little Salty had all those blisters in the inside of her foot, and you recommended it to her and it worked brilliant. There's another thing in Australia you can get called Second Skin Spray. Dan McPherson recommended this to me, and you spray the army use it. You spray your whole foot, and you do it before the swim, and you let it dry, and you basically got a second skin coverage. It's amazing.
Awesome.
And then you wear your socks, and you put the Vaseline as well. So there's a few little
and
tips.
maybe a little baby powder. I used to do that in my shoes, and it keeps them from smelling as bad as they normally do.
Oh, your shoes still smell, babe. Sorry. Siri used to wear a shoe size 1 too small, and I swear to God, her toes still look squashed from those 10 years of racing with shoes too small.
Yeah, it was a really odd thing that I had. I felt like I would run faster if there was no movement at all in my shoe. And it was bizarre because I am actually now I wear an 8.
And you wore a 7.
I wore a 7. And these things, people used to say they couldn't tell if I had feet or not because I've got such small feet and I'm such a tall girl. And it was just, I must have looked pretty funny. But hey, it helped me to run fast. So Beck, we get off the bike. And regardless of the distance, I have a strategy that I used as an athlete. And I know you agree with this. I start every race.
You're giving all our tips away, Siri.
I am, I know, but that's what this is all about. We want to help you feel the best you can racing. Start out fast, guys. Start out ultra fast. Why? Because if you start out ultra fast and then you relax into your race pace, it actually doesn't feel that bad. Okay, so my philosophy is start out, get super uncomfortable, make it super hard. It's like going to the track. You're about to do a track session. You do some fast strides that are going to be way quicker than what you're going to hold for your 400s or your 800s. And it makes that speed that you hold for your intervals not feel that hard. Do you agree?
I agree. And I only started doing turnovers with you and kind of Brett Sutton. We did a little bit. But if you do turnovers before a run session, I don't want to give too much away, but if you do turnovers where you're doing like 20 seconds fast a few times before you start a hard run, because you're running at a faster speed than what you're going to hold for that fast run, then you say you do them at 2 miles an hour quicker than your effort pace, then the effort pace actually feels quite easy because you're just firing those fast twitch, and just it's a feel-good thing. And I feel like running out of transition, quick feet, fast feet. Siri yells this at us. Even I hear her yelling it at Rennie going up. What is it? What's the highway?
Palani. Quick feet, little feet, quick feet, little feet.
And Rennie loves it. And she did to me, and I just gave her the bird. I'm like, shut up! I'm in too much pain.
I'm like, give me the bird, but it's going to help you race great.
It does work. Quick feet, little feet, quick feet, little feet. I was like, shut up. But I know Rennie loves it. So, and it seems to work. And I do say it to my athletes, and you head down, quick feet, little feet. I think that's a really good thing to remember when you're coming out of transition.
And you're setting an intention, aren't you? Mm-hmm. I mean, start out fast just saying, this is what I want, body. You set out the intention, and it's way harder to try and build into your race pace. I think that's super hard, especially in the longer races. So
I think it worked because you at World Champs, I remember you said you went out so hard and didn't look back, and everyone looks at you thinking, oh my God, she's on fire today, I'm never going to catch her. It's a psychological thing too.
Okay, now you're really giving
okay.
Now you're really giving too much.
Yeah.
But guys, so another thing too, it's mindset. Some people love the run. I couldn't wait for the run. It was my strength, and the swim was such a struggle for me. But some people dread the run. And a lot of it is mindset. If you are out there thinking, oh God, here comes the run, this is going to hurt. Guess what? It's going to hurt. You're already telling yourself it's going to hurt. So it's going to hurt. At least come in with something a little bit more empowering, like, what a great challenge. Let's see how fast I can go. Let's see how strong I can be.
I can't wait for my PP to get off this bike. That's what I always used to think, oh my God, I can't wait to get off this saddle.
Yeah, so, at least have empowering thoughts, because the minute you lay out an expectation that it's going to hurt, or this is the worst part of your race, or, oh my God, how many people are going to pass me, you are setting yourself up to, once again, if this is a pattern, to not have a great experience on the run. So be proactive with your thinking. All of you guys as triathletes are so disciplined, right? Mm-hmm. So use that same incredible talent you have to be disciplined, to discipline your thoughts, and only allow thoughts that are going to empower you. And if you have a thought where you're putting yourself down, or you're expecting the worst, or you're focusing on what hurts rather than what feels good, stop it. Don't let those thoughts enter your mind. You have them, you let it go, you say, that's not helping me. Boom, what am I going to focus on that's going to allow me to feel the best that I can in every moment?
I totally agree. And I used to have some races where, a lot of my good races where even I won, I would not feel good on the bike. I either have a terrible bike time-wise, or I just would feel terrible. And I never thought, oh, I'm going to feel terrible. And I'm like, the run's my strength, even if it's not your strength. The run, oh, I can't wait to get into the run. Like, I'm going to come good. And I just tell myself I'm going for the fastest run split. And that was before I was even a runner. But I think you have to have a goal. Like, you can feel awful on the bike and still feel amazing on the run. Scott DeFilippis just ran a 2:45 off the bike after having a shocking bike, so he said. So it's possible. Like, everybody has days like that where they're having a bad day on the bike and then they pull like 10 places on the run. So never, never, never give up.
Yeah, I mean, think about life, guys. Say you're going about your morning and something bad happens. Are you the type of person that says, oh, great, my day's going to just suck now? Because guess what? It will. You're laying out that expectation. You're laying out the intention, and you will find evidence to support the fact that this day is going to be horrible. Or are you someone that says, okay, well, that sucks that happened, but I'm going to make this a great day. I'm going to go do a great job at work. I'm going to go get my workout in. Are you the type that turns your day around? Because if you are, if that's your pattern in life, that's what you're going to be able to do in a race. So start thinking about, how do you manage your daily life? And is that the way that you handle adversity and obstacles? If you handle obstacles and adversity in a race like you do in real life, is that going to lead to success and a positive experience, or a not so positive experience? It's really, really important to think that through.
Yeah. And I think, Siri, maybe we can go through really briefly, like, the run. I mean, pacing for me was always the same, whether I was doing a 10K off the bike, 21K off the bike. It was a little different for a marathon. I know these days, the way the Ironman's being raced, the guys basically run not that much slower than they do in a half or a full. But for a very well-trained, fit athlete, and especially for a Team Sirius athlete, because Team Sirius Tri Club, we train these guys for that. And I hate reading in their race reports, oh, I held back a little bit in the swim, or I got off the bike and I sort of like built into it. I'm like, no, you are not trained to do that. So let's just go through getting off the bike for, say, a 10K, 21K, and a 42.2K. What is the main differences, say, for your less conditioned athletes, like maybe more towards our age group athletes?
Yeah, so, I mean, yes, here at Team Sirius, our philosophy, we're all out here to push ourselves to be the best that we can be, to discover what we're made of. Because for all of us, we are so much powerful than we believe that we are. But the only way you can figure out just how strong you are, just how fit you are, just how fast you can go, is by going beyond what you think you're capable of. So for us, racing is an opportunity to learn about yourself, to grow, to stretch, to shine. That's our philosophy. But that being said, it's totally okay if you're going into a race saying, I want to get from start to finish. That is my goal, because I've never done a race before, is to get through the swim, get through the bike, get through the run, and cross that line healthy, happy, and satisfied. So that's not wrong at all. That's a massive victory as well. So for me, with my elite athletes, yeah, I'm going to push them to, go beyond what they think they're capable of, and grow and stretch and shine and try and achieve things that they don't believe that they can. But for an age grouper that has been training enough to kind of go the distance, I think pacing is more just trying to string together as many moments where you are positive and enthusiastic and focused and doing the best that you can. And if you can do that, you're going to have an awesome day. So the pacing, when you ask about pacing, the pacing is really paying attention to your mind and staying positive, staying present, embracing the challenge, and just doing the best that you can in every moment.
Okay, that's awesome. So that's exactly how I approach it with my less conditioned guys. With my more elite age groupers, I have a similar approach to how you approach it with the pros. But if you talk to your athletes like pre-race about how they're going to attack, obviously, does it depend if they're a runner or if it's if it's a half marathon off the bike or a full marathon? Like, do you give them different tactics to attack that, or does it depend on each person? I know there's a different mindset for every athlete. I know an example might be the way you told Andres to race the other day. So I don't know if you want to use that as an example.
So let's use like 3 different examples. Athlete A is an amazing runner in training, and as coaches and knowing over many, many years of doing what we've been doing through all the different sets that I've given this athlete, I can see that this athlete should be able to run 118 on a flat course, regardless of how hard the bike is. Mm-hmm. But athlete A has not been able to perform to their potential in a race. Now, whether that is fear or not being confident enough to do it, or nutrition, whatever that is, something has held them back. Mm-hmm. So with this athlete A, I will say, hey, I want you to swim and bike super hard, but my ultimate goal for you is to get out there on the run and go for that fastest run split. Mm-hmm. So for me, when I was racing, I was always like in the beginning, I was like last out of the water. Mm-hmm. And I knew that one way that I could start kind of inspiring and motivating myself and building up my confidence is that if at the end of the day, if I could put together the fastest run split, then later on that night, when everyone's going through the results, they'll be looking at the splits and say, holy shit, that girl that came in 22nd, she had the fastest run. Just wait till she can swim and bike.
And we do that. Like, I hated being out split in the run unless it was Rennie, but I will look at the splits, and some of the, thankfully, I think I hold the record for maybe one race. But your goal, if you're having a bad day even, is like, I've got to have the fastest run. And the pros go through and they go, who had the fastest swim, who had the fastest bike, who had the fastest run. If I saw Siri Lindley, shoot, if she can actually swim, we're all in trouble. And then it happened.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that you did that at St. George. You got off the bike in St. George and, I don't know, maybe 10th place, pretty far behind. You had a dismal bike ride on that day, but you said to yourself exactly that. You said, I'm going to go for the fastest bike split, and you hold the record on that race. So on the run. So that's amazing, guys. So with this athlete A, I want you to your major focus is to put together your best run you've ever done before. And that's the goal.
Okay, athlete B.
Okay, here's an athlete that can potentially win this big race. Okay, but it's not their most important race. And this race has the potential to take a lot out of them if they absolutely go for it 1,000,000%. Mm-hmm. So with this athlete, the goal is, hey, if we're in the game right at the front, it's going to be worth it to battle it out and absolutely crush it to go for the win. If you find yourself in a position where you're going to have to literally run the fastest marathon you've ever run in your life to take first, this is not the race where we necessarily want to do this, because coming up in a few weeks is something way more important.
So say it's like 12 weeks out from Kona or 16 weeks out, and you know that it would be
that would be okay.
So 8 weeks
12 to 16 weeks, that would be okay.
Any closer?
Any closer, no. I would say you want to save that race where you are going to dig deeper than you've ever dug before for Kona. Right. Now, that's not to say that I'm not having this athlete go as hard as they can at whatever distance from start to finish, but it's saying be smart and think about what is your ultimate goal. Mm-hmm. So that's athlete B. Athlete C doesn't quite understand just how powerful and amazing they are. They question their abilities, even though every single day in training they're proving to themselves just how fast, strong, and fit they are. And I will say, I want you to go for time. It's you versus the clock. How fast can you get from start to finish? Put your head down As far as everyone else out there, they're just inspiration. Put your head down, freaking go for it. Let's see how fast we can get from start to finish. Don't hold anything back. And what will happen is that athlete will be afraid to go beyond, say, a 7 out of 10, because there is that lack of confidence, that fear, I guess. So when I'm saying go flat out from start to finish, maybe they'll hit a 7, a 7.5, and that will lead to their best performance.
I love that. It's awesome example.
Well, what about you? Tell me one of your most recent ones.
Recent athletes?
Yeah, recent athlete, something different, a story, because every athlete is different, guys. Every athlete, the way we approach each and every athlete is totally different depending on the goals, their fitness, and their mindset.
One of my new athletes, and this is where it's hard as a coach when you don't know the athlete very well and you're just getting to know their abilities and their goals, and went into their first 70.3 and kept saying that they swam really easy, they biked very easy, they ran, it had a lot left. And I was like, to be honest, without knowing enough, like I was really disappointed. And I was like, what were you thinking? But then it was my fault as a coach, and I totally accept the responsibility for this, was that this person had never done a triathlon, and this is where the Team Sirius standard is so high. And sometimes I have to realize that not everybody wants to win a world championship, and that's where I've learned a lot as a coach. But never done a 70.3, hadn't done an open water swim ever, and it had just come to me 2 weeks before. I had no idea they'd never done open water swim. So, and he was a collegiate swimmer. So I'm like, what were you thinking? And I felt terrible because I realized once he explained to me, well, these were my goals, completely different to what I thought. I said, wow, that's my ignorance as a coach, and I accept all responsibility for having to dig at you for not having a real go. But the great thing is now he knows where he's at, and he enjoyed it a lot, and now we have a bigger goal of just really nailing the next one, and he's given me like 4 months to do that, so it's pretty exciting.
And that's amazing. But also, I mean, I love that you own that, but also I think it's an athlete's responsibility to really communicate what they're looking to achieve in their next upcoming race. What are your goals? So I'll have my athletes, I'll say, I want you to write down, what do you want out of this race? What do you want to experience? What do you want this race to look like? What are your goals? What is your outcome? And kind of what's your plan, so that you as a coach can understand how they go about racing that race. So, but again, new athlete, and that's always hard because sometimes so many athletes say, oh, I didn't want to bother you with talking about that. Well, we as coaches,
frustrating.
Like, we want to know everything. We want feedback. We want you to communicate. We can be the best coaches in the world for you the more we know about you. So, sorry, we have a bit of a windstorm going on here. I hope the house doesn't blow away. But yeah, so that communication is crucial, and that includes your communication with yourself. I would write down before every race how I wanted the race to go from start to finish, what I wanted to accomplish on the swim. I wanted to be relentless. I wanted to get on quicker swimmers' feet and do whatever it took to stay there and not be dropped, and accelerate into the turns and accelerate out. I would write down my plan from start to finish so that I had a clear vision in my mind of what I intended to do once that gun went off.
So let's get back to the run, because we got a little bit sidetracked. We're good at getting sidetracked. So we're meant to be talking about the run off the bike, but let's talk quickly about, because this is so important. And if you're a member of Team Sirius Tri Club, if you're not, you should be, because the value there is just incredible. And I won't go into that. You can see it on our website at teamsiriustriclub.com. But we've got so many videos in there on our app. We actually have an app, which is pretty exciting. On run form and technique, all you got to do is look at Ellie Salthouse. I posted something on her just on social media today, but look at her or Rinny, and Troy Romero, beautiful. He's like the male version of Rinny run form. I swear to God, he looks like a male Rinny now. No offense, Rin, but all the run form, all your athletes have such beautiful technique, and we were teaching Maria, my new athlete, a little bit about that. But let's talk about, while we're on the run, the main tips without giving too much away, but why not? Because it's easier to say than apply. For running, Siri, like, what are the key tips? And I know that it's a little bit different to some coaches. I can't believe I hear people saying look up when you're going uphill, or take big strides. If you're young for Dana, you can get away with that. But what are your 3 key tips to the run, to running well off the bike, but just in the run in general?
Well, I think that, you can be out on the run in a race and feel terrible and literally like 3 little adjustments and you can feel amazing. One of the things I see the most is when people are running uphill, they're looking to the top of the hill, which brings them leaning back and they're dragging themselves up the hill, and it's exhausting. So on uphills, you want to lean into the hill. You want your gaze to be down. You want all your momentum going forward. So I would say get more up on your forefoot, lean into the hill, nose is down, and smaller steps, quick feet, little feet, quick feet, little feet. The smaller the steps, you're going to have great momentum going up the hill. Your heart rate will be lower. And getting off the bike, especially if you're any bit like sore or tight, is going to be so much more effective for you. But mostly the lower heart rate and getting to the hill a lot quicker with a lot less effort.
And I know sometimes when I tell my guys little steps, they actually take even too many steps. Like that can be a problem too. Like they're getting the steps in, but they're going and they're like spinning their wheels and they're not getting that power per step. And it's kind of hard to explain. You've got to kind of find that balance. Like you still want to have the power per step. You don't want to be like having 200 cadence and not going fast. So I think people always ask me when you're warming up, like a really slow jog, should you be at 200? Well, no, you shouldn't be, but you still should be practicing like not overstriding. Like you want to land under your hips, right?
Yeah, landing under your hips. You want that forward lean. You want your shoulders back, your chest forward, your gaze down, and what you're talking about, power per step or distance per step is what I typically call it. That you get from the drive of your arms. So the rhythm, your cadence, what your arms do, your feet will follow. So as you pump the arms in a certain rhythm, your feet will go at that same rhythm. The drive comes from a bit of that force that you get as you bring your arms forward and back slightly. You're not doing a big, huge sweep, but that's where you're getting your drive and your kickback and your distance per step. So putting those two together is going to lead to the ideal run. But if you're out there, I mean, the first thing, so you're out there, you're on a run, whether it's in training or in a race, and you're thinking, oh my God, this feels so hard. Here are the 3 things to check. Where are you looking? If you're looking up out in the distance or up in the sky, you are probably leaning back and thus dragging yourself. Number 2, number 2, chest forward. Well, but kind of the same thing. So if you bring your gaze from looking straight out or up and bring it down, that's going to bring your chest forward.
And where exactly your eyes? So I know Ellie said 20 feet in front. I kind of looked more maybe 10 feet in front.
I would say 10 feet in front. Yeah. And Ellie, she's an amazing runner, but I often tell her to have to drop her gaze because she's a little high still, I would say. Next thing you want to think about is your cadence. Like, are you taking big, long steps? So first thing you do there is pump your arms a little bit quicker. Get your cadence going a little bit faster. Land more on your forefoot and make sure you're not landing on your heels in front of your hips. You want to be landing under your hips, kind of up on your forefoot. Yeah. So that's the second check. Third check, I guess with the dry, a lot of times when we swim hard, we can get really tight in our thoracic spine. And that takes away from when you're super tight up there and there's not a freedom in your thoracic spine, it can prevent you from feeling ease with that drive of your step.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot. And I know as an athlete, even in the run, I remember you seeing me do it. You're like, what are you doing? And I twisted my body. Like I would twist it in the run. I think you used to do it as well. And I'd loosen my thoracic while I was running because as much as you should really be moving laterally, like you do have a little tiny bit of lateral movement with your upper body and your thoracic. And if you're tight up there, your arms should never cross your center line at the front, but you should have a tiny little bit of like lateral movement in the chest. And I know the good runners have a little bit. And if I was so super, super tight in my thoracic and upper back, like I just could not, because you said your legs follow what your arms do. If you're stiff, like you cannot get that technique. So I think being really loose and rolling out, like foam rolling that upper back is so much more important as you get older as well.
Yeah, totally. And one thing to add to that, think about swimming. Think about a swimmer that swims flat and isn't rotating at all. Most of the time, they're not going to be getting that finish, that good, strong finish at the back of their stroke, and they're not going to be getting as much distance per each stroke. I know we're not into distance per stroke, but even with a higher cadence, you want to get a good distance with each stroke. Yeah. So think about when your thoracic is tight, it's preventing your drive. So you may be able to keep your cadence up, but what you're not getting is that drive in every step, which is that distance per step. So loosen that up, foam roll your thoracic, keep it loose because you do need that. Another thing, anchor through the core. Downhill running, don't fall back. You don't want to drag yourself down the hill and brake, because when you fall back, you're going to be braking with your heels, and especially in an Ironman or a longer race, that's going to lead to cramping. It's just not a good thing. You want to fall forward into the downhill, anchor through your core, and literally just let it flow. Like, let your legs go fast and try not to control it. Let them be free, let them flow, and anchor through that core, and that will get you down the hill a lot faster with much less effort, which is what we want from a downhill.
Awesome. So we talked about run form. Let's touch on nutrition. That's one of my favorite subjects. But nutrition for the run, because I know that my guys will be like, I'm not drinking Coke until the last 10K. I'm like, why? Like, unless they run out of Coke, that would suck. But really, I know you get that spike and everything. But you got to get the calories in. And the problem is in the run, often you don't feel like eating. So I would maybe have a gel like every 30, 40 minutes, and that probably wasn't enough without having my liquid. So I'd have Coke, Gatorade, water, Coke, Gatorade, water, and then a water on my head. And I would take the time to just slow down a little bit every time I went to, it was usually every 2 kilometers. So it's probably, every mile here? I don't know. And I would go water on my head, Coke in my mouth, Gatorade in my mouth, and then water in my mouth, because these cups, remember, they're not 250 mils. You're literally getting a mouthful. You're probably getting like, I don't even know if it wouldn't even be 100 mils, maybe 50 mils. So if you're only getting like 150 mils, like every like 20 minutes, that's not a lot. You need to be getting like up to 2 liters an hour. So I think it's really important, especially if you're only going to eat a little bit in the run. You should really be all backed up with fuel for the bike anyway. Like, get all your nutrition on the bike. I'm not saying not to eat on the run. You should definitely still eat, but getting that calories in through Coke and Gatorade, I think, is really important. You can never really have too much Gatorade in the run because they're such small cups.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a great point. And I think also, depending how long your race is, but for everyone, regardless of how long it takes you to get from start to finish, your cravings will change depending on your effort, the temperature, what's happening out there. Like, suddenly you might be craving, salt and pretzels, but all you have is sugar. So I tell my athletes, be prepared for an odd craving. Like, have something in your fuel belt that will take the place of whatever you need in that moment.
Vegemite sandwich.
Yeah, seriously, because you don't want to be caught out there craving something that you can't get and you don't have, because you didn't expect to crave this and then not have the energy you need. So come prepared and be open-minded to what you may crave out there, whether it's sugar or caffeine or salt.
Yeah, and I know that you had a really good formula. I can't remember what it was, but you and Leander had her nutrition down pat after some bad nutrition stuff. But the salt levels were like, I think it was 500 milligrams an hour. I don't know the exact amount, but you can get your sweat tested. But you've got to remember 1 gram of carbohydrate per kilo of body weight per hour. I used to try and get 60 grams of carbs in on the run. Sometimes I couldn't, but thankfully I fueled up. I was pretty good with my nutrition. So on the bike I was fueled up, and even if I got half that, like half a gram per kilo of body weight per hour, you can work that out with your body weight, 60 kilos, 60 grams an hour. If you can get that in on the run and you fuel properly on the bike, that is enough, and you've got to work out your salt too. I think the best thing is to get a sweat test, but 500 milligrams and you're not getting much salt really in your Gatorade, so you're not getting a lot of it in. So I would recommend bringing salt with you as well.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And Beck, you were, always, I would say, my best athlete as far as fueling and hydrating, having that formula down pat for yourself. And even when you've recommended, these balances and amounts to other athletes, it's worked tremendously. But I do think, everybody go get your sweat test done, find out about what you're going to need, but be diligent about your eating and drinking, because Beck, you were amazing at that. And I felt like you would cross the line in an Ironman and that you could have done it again.
No.
Sometimes. I know you didn't want to, but but you were very balanced energy-wise, which was amazing. Obviously, the race takes its toll, and you're going to collapse over the finish line. It's exhausting, but it's a great formula, guys. So write that down. it does work, and then cater it towards your needs or kind of adjust it to what works for you.
And I think getting solids and liquids, it all depends on like your personal preference. But I do feel like getting a little bit of solid and liquid in on the bike, it's very hard in the run unless you use those goo. I always forget they're called chomp, whatever they're called.
Oh yeah, those are yummy.
They're like I used to eat jelly beans too because it's really high sugar. And remember, guys, we're not worrying about our diet in Ironman. I love these expert nutritionalists that aren't athlete nutritionalists, and they say, oh, that's terrible, like gels, that's full of sugar. I'm like, you've got to get sugar into the bloodstream as quick as you can. You should be eating like terrible food in a race because it's just fat sugar kicks. So getting that sugar in, getting that in as fast as you can and not really worrying about, I would never recommend you to eat stuff that you eat in a race in your everyday life, but you practice it in training under stress. So you got to remember in a race, you've just got to get it in. And whether it's liquid or solid, usually liquid in the run is better, but you've got to get some solid in on the bike too if you can. And you want to practice it every day in training, practice it under those conditions.
Beck, that's brilliant and probably the most important point of all. I love that you mentioned that because, guys, you can't race an Ironman on calorie-free Powerade, okay? That's not going to do the trick. Or you can't, oh, my God, I don't eat sugar. Well, listen, you can't do Ironman, I don't believe, without any sugar. So like Beck said, we don't expect you to be, spending your day eating gels for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But when it comes to race day, know that your body needs certain things. And on that day, allow yourself to have them so that you give yourself your best possible chance of having your best day. Yep. So guys, hopefully this has been great information for all of you. We love doing this podcast. We are very grateful to have the opportunity to share our expertise with all of you. You all inspire us tremendously.
Wisp Sports Radio, the voice of women in sport.
And our podcast today was brought to you thanks to Highlands Earache Drops.
Anybody that gets earaches from swimming or for any reason, these are the drops that will take that pain away.
And you can actually find them at highlands.com/ear-pain.
So thank you, everybody. Follow Wisp Sports on all social media channels at Wisp Sports. And for more conversations from the world of women's sport, visit wispsports.com. And remember, you can listen to loads of podcasts about women's sport by subscribing to Wisp Sports Radio on your favorite podcast app.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and supporting women in sport everywhere around the world.
Have an amazing day. Woo!